Iran's leadership is in no better shape. Desperate and hiding, they've gone underground, cowering. That's what rats do. We know the new so-called not-so-supreme leader is wounded and likely disfigured. He put out a statement yesterday, a weak one, actually, but there was no voice and there was no video. It was a written statement. He called for unity. Apparently killing tens of thousands of protesters is his kind of unity. Iran has plenty of cameras and plenty of voice recorders. Why a written statement? I think you know why. His father, dead. He's scared, he's injured, he's on the run, and he lacks legitimacy. It's a mess for them. Who's in charge? Iran may not even know. With every passing hour, we know, and we know they know, that the military capabilities of their evil regime are crumbling. They can barely communicate, let alone coordinate. They're confused, and we know it. Our response? We will keep pressing. We will keep pushing, keep advancing. No quarter, no mercy for our enemies.
I'm genuinely concerned and genuinely worried of the state of American Christianity because they're worried about people coming into the country with a misdemeanor, right? Like, because breaking the law to come in is a misdemeanor, and yet from the highest offices, they're committing war crimes. And then Pete Hegseth came out and with the statement saying no quarter would be given. That's a war crime to even say under the Hague Convention. They back. I think that's like the Hague Convention for Article 23 or 27. I can't remember which. It's something like that. And it's just, I thought that was shocking that he could even say that out loud because they, it's kind of the law that if you come out that you aren't even allowed, a commander isn't even allowed to issue those phrases that no quarter will be given because of what it can make the troops act like. And when you have the Department of War, the highest person actually saying that, like that's just opening you up for war crimes, but it's actually considered a war crime to even make that statement.
Remember how we were talking about in your meeting, how you got to give them a way out?
Yeah.
To not completely destroy them. Otherwise, they're going to fight like their lives depend on it. But if you give them an out, it's like kind of the same thing. It's like the Comanche are coming after you.
And so that's what I want Christians to realize is, one, it's pretty diabolical what he's saying because what you're saying is, they're pushing them into a corner where there is no surrender that will be accepted. So it's causing a greater war and greater suffering, right? Yeah. But on top of that, he's also breaking the law as, the World Hague Convention. He's breaking the Rome Statute. They kind of backed it all up during the Nuremberg trials that wasn't allowed. I think it even states that it's forbidden to declare that no quarter will be given. Under Article 23, I'm pretty sure the 1907 one states that it's forbidden to say that out loud. And so I was just shocked that he can be breaking all international law from the White House. And so I guess what I wanted to go over is really quick just to say like 5 things and then get your response to it. And just to make people think, and just question. That's all I want. And I don't want to spend a lot of time going over all the details like I normally do. What I was thinking about is when he came out and stated that, one, he's breaking the law, international law. It's very explicit that you can't do that. Mm-hmm. And then 2, I believe there's a much bigger war still. I know we've talked about it before on the Bride of Christ to make them complicit. And it reminded me of that verse in Revelation where it talks about come out of her, my people, and be not partakers in her sins. And so when they're going to where there's zero mercy shown, 0 quarter given, not only are they breaking international law, but that's breaking God's law. And they want to drag Christians into that. And so I just wanted people to consider that maybe, I know we've discussed it before, but just Balaam, when he is called by the Midianites and, and Moab to come and curse Israel. he comes there to curse Israel. They fail. And every time he tries to curse, God gives them a blessing. And in the end, the Midianites seduce the people of Israel and have them commit immorality with the women so that God comes in and punishes them with a plague. And I truly believe that's what's happening right now, that's being put in front of the Christian church. Is like, are you going to partner with evil completely? Are you going to get upset about laws being broken by immigrants coming across and saying, well, they broke the law, but then when Pete Hegseth breaks the international law, they're going to give him a pass. And that's what scares me, is that this is a much more dangerous law to break because it could lead to the sufferings of millions of people. Already in this war, millions have been displaced. I think 750,000 Lebanese have been displaced. I think they're already saying in Iran almost 2 million are being displaced. So I'm not saying that Iran's a good country. Obviously, it's an evil regime. I'm just saying it's no better to say we're not going to give any quarter, and it's actually worse, to make those statements and flame the whole Middle East. And I guess what I want Christians to realize is this is intentional, not because it's so much about over there, but because they're bringing in this golden dawn. And what I'd like them to go is go back and read Numbers 23 through 27 and see how Balaam, what he did. He goes up on the mountain and he invokes the 3-7. He does 7 altars with 7 bullocks and 7 sheep. So it's the 3-7 that's in a lot of Kabbalah magic. Remember, Aleister Crowley has the Liber 777. Israel Regardie is the one who finishes Aleister Crowley's work. He's into Liber 777. And then when Donald Trump shows up the first time, I don't know if you remember discussing that years ago, but we were talking about when he came in on, 2017, they said he was 70 years old, 7 months and 7 days. So they invoked the 777 again. And that's what's happening now. It's what I truly believe is they're inviting the Christian church to be complicit in their sins and to give in to the bloodlust, because they can't hurt the Church of Christ. But if we go along with this, it will bring our own destruction. They don't have to hurt the Church of Christ. We will hurt ourselves and bring God's judgment. And so that's all I wanted to say. Is I wanted to explain just a couple things that if they just go and read Numbers and read of how he actually does it 3 times. He does, and it says they go up to the high place of Baal. So it's Baal worship too, right? And he does the 7 altars, 7 bullocks, and 7 sheep. And then they call him to another location, to the high place of Baal. He offers 7 more altars, 7 bullocks, 7 sheep, and then a 3rd time. So he invokes the 3-7s 3 times. It's just crazy because then when Trump comes along, he does the same thing at his first inaugural address. His first full day, he was 70 years, 7 months, and 7 days. And people like Jonathan Cahn, like these people are always making, these numbers are so sacred and special, but they aren't to the Christians, but they are to the Kabbalah.
Yeah.
That was to bring Trump in. That was the age of bringing in Baal. His first book was The Art of the Deal. His second book is The Art of the Comeback. And so it was planned all along. They're very much into the magic numbers. They brought him on the 3-7 his first time, and his second time to office, he's bringing in the Golden Dawn, which is the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, which was what Liber 777 was all about. So they brought him in the first time, and then the second time he comes into office, he announces the dawn of a golden age, Operation Stargate, and at that point, I don't know if you remember, but you and I talked in January of 2025 on like the 24th or 25th, somewhere in there, because Trump had just put out the annual meeting of Davos. The WEF was meeting, and remember, he had just become president, and so he did a giant online presentation to them instead of going there. And I called you after that because what I had seen, he's speaking at the WEF, and remember the presidential seal, or the seal of the United States, the eagle had turned and it was looking at the arrows. Remember us talking in detail about that they did that during World War II, and we were like, okay, he's just announced Operation Stargate, and now he's talking to the Davos, and the seal the eagle is looking at the arrows, which is an announcement of war. That is, so this is where it gets weird. If you're into Kabbalah, which we know that Trump is because he has the Kabbalah tree of life, there's many videos dating back where he says the Kabbalah tree of life award is the award that he cherishes the most in his life. And so I just want people to realize all this is pre-planned. They're trying to suck the church into partnering with evil and no quarter being given. They're committing war crimes, and they want you to condone it and thus bring about the judgment of God. And if people don't believe it, like they could just go to the 3-7, see that Trump's first inauguration was that. And then his second time in, he ushers in the Golden Dawn. And where it gets weird is January 23rd, they changed the seal. That's when I first noticed it. If other people have noticed it before, let me know and I stand corrected. But when he was talking to the WEF on January 23rd, I remember calling you right after that and saying, did you see the eagle on the seal? Because it's looking at the arrows. Exactly. I checked this morning after all this came out, and I heard Pete Hegseth say that. And I did a date calendar to see how many days were between January 23rd, 2025, and February 28th, 2026, when this war started, and it's exactly 401 days, which, I mean, it's just beyond coincidence. Because remember when we talked in one of our earlier videos about Project Genesis being exactly 370 days from them writing the book? Like, exactly. That's a high Kabbalah number, and we talked about how that worked with the Seraphet and the 10 Seraphits in the top tier, ushering in this new age of the third man. Well, this is the exact same thing. The number 401 signifies prime creation and chaos. And, like, it's exactly 401 days, and it just, I don't even understand how it can be that accurate, from the start of him changing the seal to the war is exactly 401. And it dates back, like it's a pretty big in the Talmud, the number 28 and 401. And it all goes back to when Esau is meeting with Jacob, and Esau shows up with a group of men, 400 men, soldiers plus himself. And that's where they get the 401. And it gets stranger because why they think it's so sacred in Kabbalah is because it's 7 prime numbers in a row, starting with 43. And if you add all those 7 prime numbers in sequential order, they add up to 401. So what's significant about it is prime numbers. So you get that 7 again, right? And the 7 starts with the number 43, a prime number, and the next 6 sequential prime numbers, if you go in order, they all add up to 401. And that's why it's so important to them, this 401. And what it stands for is chaos. And so that's what I'm saying is they change the arrows. They're looking at war. They then go on later in the year to call it the Department of War and switch it, And it's exactly 401 days from that seal being changed to the war breaking out. Exactly. And that's a high Kabbalah number. 401 represents the soul of Esau. It's called, what is it called? I know we've discussed like Tiku Olam. It's called Olam HaTohu. And I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, but that's what it's called, Olam HaTohu. And it is Esau's number. And so right now, Israel, we know, kind of forced our hand into this war. It's kind of been stated openly by several people.
And they think we're Esau as well.
And that's what I was going to say. Exactly. The 7 primary numbers make up the number 401. It represents Esau. And Esau bows down to Jacob. Like in this, when the 401 show up, Jacob actually bows 7 times. But then later, Esau becomes Jacob's servant in a way. So he comes with the force and the power, but then Jacob later has the upper hand and uses Esau for his bidding in a way. And so that's where it gets weird, because it's a sacred number to Kabbalah, not to true Jews, or you know what I mean? It's not the same, but in Kabbalah magic, which we know Trump is part of, It is definitely Babylonian Talmud is where this comes from.
Yeah.
They say that the soul of Esau is indeed Olam HaTohu. That's what it says in, where does it say that at? It's in Kabbalah, but I can't remember which place it's written. But I know for sure it says that. The point is this was pre-planned. Every bit of this falls on Kabbalah magic numbers. Every one. From the changing of the seal to the day the war starts identically. And when you go back and read like Lance Wallnau, he has, the Trump as God's. He has a book called God's Chaos Candidate.
Yeah.
But 401 is the chaos number. So I'm trying to say these Christians that are out there promoting Pete Hegseth and promoting Donald Trump, they're actually all part of this Golden Dawn. They're actually all part of the Kabbalah. Because God, the cult and the Masons do order out of chaos, but God is not the author of confusion. So when Christians are out there putting forward God's chaos candidate, that's contrary to the Word of God. And so I just wanted to put that out there. I thought it was extremely terrible that Pete Hegseth could come out and go against the Hague Convention and commit a war crime on live TV, because it's supposed to be a war crime to call for no quarter.
Smash that like button and subscribe.